The mistake is to speak to the cynical part of the person. The clue is to speak to the passionate part of the person. And since I believe that that passionate part of the person is available in every single human being, then you always just keep talking to that part of the person. I mean, the most extreme case I heard recently was a story. Roz had an experience with a beggar in the street, and one of these totally decrepit individuals sitting there with his blanket around her. Tell the story, it's so beautiful.
He had a sign out saying, "Seeking human kindness," and a cup for money. And I thought that's a kind of interesting sign. So I walked a few feet by it, but then I turned back and I said, I have only a $20 bill. I can't give you any money, but I can give you some advice. And he said, he looked up because there's a warmth coming out of me, and I was coming close to him, and he said, okay, what is that? And I said, why don't you say offering human kindness instead of seeking it? Offering. And he said, but I don't have anything to offer, because he'd equated human kindness with money. And I went up very close to him and I said, you don't have any human kindness? And he said, oh no, I have a lot of it. I said, wonderful. You have all that to give away, and you won't lose anything in that. You could probably get a lot more back. He said, that's a great idea.
So possibility lives even in a beggar sitting in the street. So how can you say it doesn't live in a bank manager or, you know, everybody has that. Every single human being has that capacity. And if you go through life knowing that everybody has that capacity, then all you have to do is to speak to that capacity that human beings have. And if you're surrounded by lots of people and you see lots of faces, you just know that that's who they are. You know it. Deep down inside you, you know it. And it's called giving an A, because that's the great place to start. And if you only give A student, if you only give A student grades, you only have A students. That's all you have. Music speaks to the emotions, and getting people's emotional connectiveness, that's what it does. It brings people together, it breaks down the barriers of it's me rather than you. It's emotional. A colleague of mine said that classical music is like an act of anti-gravity. It takes you up, holds you in the long line, it expresses long lines rather than individual moments. It gives you buoyancy, lightness, joy.
And music is in the rest of life, because how we speak is a musical act. Yeah. And being aware that we are producing music by speaking is transformational. There's a line of music. When I wrote The Art of Possibility, I made every chapter, I was very aware of the language, and every chapter goes down like this and goes into musical flight by the end of it, because that's going to get to people in an emotional way. If we think of a business as being a musical event, then it brings in the emotion, then it brings in a kind of a tempo and a rhythm that comes from music that can be transformational. And you'll stop, if you're sitting in cubicles and you're working like this, you'll realize that music isn't very interesting or going anywhere. So you can tune it up. We have so many words for that.
We train leaders to speak musically instead of, you know, this no, it's very monotonous and lets people down. We train people to release the sound of the language so it soars. I was just talking to the governor of Massachusetts. He was running for re-election, and I said, the trouble with you is you're speaking. He's a musical fellow. His father was a professional music singer. And I said, Governor, you're speaking like a candidate, you know, just, no. I said, be a musician. Let this soaring rhetoric. And he started speaking quite differently. He won the election. He discovered the music.
So in that sense, language and music should be on the curriculum of.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.